Okay, so what if you had to just start over? No savings, no fancy resume, nothing. Just you and your ability to work. Well, this is the story of a real-life experiment that dives headfirst into a question millions of people face every single day. Can you actually survive on a low-wage job in America?
And this was the exact question that journalist Barbara Ehrenreich wanted to answer. But she wasn't going to do it from behind a desk. Nope. She decided to go undercover, deep into the world of low-wage work, to find out if the numbers really truly add up.
So to find out, she literally traded her entire life as a successful author for an apron and a name tag. And she set some really strict rules for herself. She couldn't use her PhD. She couldn't fall back on any of her professional friends or connections. She had to survive just like anybody else, taking jobs as a waitress, a hotel housekeeper, a cleaner, and even a retail worker. Her very first job was at a restaurant in Florida, and her starting pay was $2.43 an hour, plus tips. I mean, can you even imagine? This just plunged her immediately into this chaotic, physically exhausting world where all her previous skills and competence meant absolutely nothing. And it became crystal clear really fast that this job was so much more than just taking orders and carrying plates of food. There was this whole other universe of work that was happening completely behind the scenes. Yeah, this is the stuff that customers never ever see. It turns out about a third of a server's time is spent on this grueling side work. All the prep, the cleaning, the restocking that keeps a restaurant from falling apart. And if you don't get it done, she says you face the dinner rush completely defenseless, and, well, you probably go down in flames. Now here's where it gets interesting. Despite her plan to be this detached scientific observer, she found herself actually caring a lot. This powerful, almost hormone-like service ethic just kicked in. She wanted to nurture her customers, treating them like patients who, for some reason, just couldn't feed themselves. But look, good intentions don't pay the rent. And that's when she slammed right into the single biggest hurdle for anyone trying to make it on low wages: finding a decent, affordable place to live. This quote right here gets to the absolute heart of the problem. Her coworker, Gail, was stuck in a terrible living situation, but she asked where she's supposed to magically come up with a full month's rent and a security deposit all at once. It's the ultimate catch-22. And this is the poverty trap in action. It's a vicious cycle. Because you don't have the savings for a security deposit, you can't get an apartment, so you're forced into these weekly rate motels, which end up costing way more. And since there's no kitchen, you have to buy expensive pre-made food. It makes it nearly impossible to ever save enough money to actually escape. So all of this constant financial stress, on top of just backbreaking physical labor, it really starts to take a serious human toll. And not just on the body, but on your mind, on your very soul. Her time working for a cleaning service in Maine was just physically brutal. The work was nonstop. And she describes this one horrifying moment watching her team leader, a pregnant woman named Holly, try to work through a really painful ankle injury because she just couldn't afford to take a single day off. But maybe the most disturbing discovery of all was the change in herself. She watched the person she knew, Barbara, this analytical author, get replaced by Barb, an exhausted, resentful, and honestly a pettier version of herself, completely worn down by the constant struggle. The whole experience just brought up this huge paradox. I mean, she was doing all this during a booming economy. There were now hiring signs literally everywhere. So why were the wages still so punishingly low? It really makes you wonder about basic economics, right? If businesses are so desperate for workers, why aren't they just raising wages to compete for them? The basic law of supply and demand just seemed to be completely broken. Well, what Ehrenreich found is that it's a whole mix of things. You've got employers who resist permanent pay raises by offering little perks instead. You've got workers who literally can't afford the gas money or the time off to even look for a better job. And then there's this powerful money taboo where nobody talks about how much they make, and clever management tactics that use words like team member to suppress any talk of better pay. And all of this led her to a pretty stunning conclusion. The working poor, they're not takers, they're givers. In fact, she says they are our society's greatest philanthropists, sacrificing their own health, their own time, and their own well-being so that the rest of us can live in comfort. Think about it. They neglect their own families to care for other people's children. They live in subpar housing so that other homes can be sparkling clean.
They put up with incredible hardship so that inflation stays low and prices for everyone else stay down. It's this massive hidden subsidy, a gift from the poorest people in our society to the rest of us. Which leaves us with a really important question. What do we owe them in return?